Welcome to rSlash, Am I the Butthole, where we get to judge strangers on the internet. Am I the butthole for being disgusting in front of my fiance's family to prove a point? So I'm semi-vegan. I have lactose intolerance, gluten sensitivity, and irritable bowel syndrome. I get teased a lot for my dietary choices, mostly because people think that I'm a hippie animal lover, but in reality, I'm fighting a constant battle to not poop in my pants. I also get people thinking that I have an eating disorder because I'm relatively petite and I can't eat 99% of foods. And then, when the meal's over, I spend a lot of time in the bathroom. I do occasionally eat fish or baked chicken, but 99% of my diet is plant-based. Red meat is a complete no-go. I can't eat dairy, and I don't eat grains, which sucks because I love bread. Over the weekend, my fiancé and I went to his parents' house because they wanted to give us an engagement dinner. In attendance were his mom, his stepdad, his younger brother, and his grandma. My fiancé's family knows about my food aversions. They know that I just eat rabbit food because I've been with my fiancé for 4 years now. But at dinner, they served very well-seasoned chicken and sausage jambalaya with cornbread and smothered potatoes. I have lived my entire life in the southern US, surrounded by delicious food that I can't digest. I was really hurt. It felt like I was ignored. My fiancé asked if there was anything that I could eat since it was almost completely against my dietary restrictions. Their response was that I should just live a little and that I needed some meat on my bones anyways. After all, we're celebrating. You should enjoy yourself. Well, I excused myself and my fiancé asked if I wanted to leave. I said no, I'm used to it. I didn't want to come off as stuck up. So I ate the food. Not a lot, but enough to be polite. And listen, I'll admit it was effing delicious. But then, less than an hour later, I felt the rumbles. You know the ones where a deluge is imminent. We were all chatting in the living room, the night was winding down, but I knew that I wouldn't make it all the way back home. I excused myself to the restroom, but at the last second, I decided that rather than use the bathroom on the other side of the house, I would use the bathroom right next to the living room. So I went. In all my loud, stinky glory, I went. It lasted maybe 5 minutes, but the damage was immeasurable. The bathroom stunk, and when I came out, it was obvious everyone heard. It was awkward. I said, sorry, sensitive stomach, you know? We left shortly after. My fiancé was embarrassed, and we fought on the car ride home. He said I did it on purpose and it was disgusting and I shouldn't have been so petty. We could have just left. Why did I act so immature, etc.? I wasn't sorry. I said his family knew about my problems but ignored me and that I couldn't help it. Was I being a butthole? Actually, OP, I think yeah, you kind of were being a butthole. Let me explain. So, first of all, clearly, your boyfriend's family are all major buttholes. The fact that they invited you as a guest into their home and then didn't give you food that you could eat was extremely rude. I'm giving them 2 out of 5 buttholes. But here's the thing, your fiancé had your back. It's not like your fiancé just completely abandoned you, he asked you if you wanted to leave. He was being thoughtful, considerate, and he was trying to give you an out to this awkward situation. But instead of taking your fiancé up on that, you decided to embarrass him in front of his family. Now, don't get me wrong, your boyfriend's family completely deserves that dose of justice. But your fiancé didn't, right? Your boyfriend was being kind and considerate, and he's the one who suffers the most in this scenario. So for that OP, I think I have to give you 1 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your fiancé 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for calling out my kid's future stepmom for treating me like a surrogate? I'm a 29-year-old girl, and I dated this guy Joe, who's 30, for 3 months before he left me to go back to his ex, Kim, who's 30. Right after we broke up, I found out that I was pregnant, and now I'm at 24 weeks. I let Joe know, and he was ecstatic. It turns out that his other girlfriend, Kim, has fertility issues and would likely never be able to get pregnant naturally, and he's always wanted to be a father. Getting back together was out of the question for both of us, so Joe is still with his girlfriend. Joe was only allowed at the initial ultrasound because of COVID, and we found out that I was having twins. According to Joe, when he told Kim about the twins, she had a mental breakdown about her infertility and wanted to talk to me. I met them at their house, and Kim stated that she wanted to be involved in my pregnancy because she would eventually be the children's stepmother. She started telling me that I had to do a home birth, that I needed to formula feed so that they could have the babies half the week, that she wanted one boy and one girl, and that she wanted the kid to call her mama since they would be calling me mommy. I shut her down and said that I would make the best choices for my kids and my body, and I left. Kim continues to be overbearing and texted me every day about my eating habits, exercise habits, and complaining about how her job won't let her take maternity leave. When I attended the genetics counseling appointment, Kim attended instead of Joe, and she took over the whole meeting, trying to talk about her family history, which was not relevant. When it came time for my 20-week scan, they allowed me one guest, and Joe suggested I take Kim instead of him, which I refused to do. Joe ended up coming, and he found out the gender because I wanted it to be a surprise so I could have a gender reveal party. I put a pregnancy announcement on my social media, and then Kim put up an announcement saying they were expecting twins the non-traditional way and how blessed she was. I was irritated, but I kept my mouth shut. Then, Kim threw a gender reveal party and posted it on social media, and I wasn't even invited. She also announced that she's having a baby shower. I commented on her post and told her to stop treating me like a surrogate, that the kids were not hers, and that Joe didn't have any claim or custody of the kids until they were born. I then called Joe and reiterated all of this and stated that I would not be seeing either of them until we went to family court, and that my mother would be my birthing partner. Joe, Kim, and some of her friends and family are saying that I'm the butthole, and her mother even called and insisted that I give her one of my babies, like this is Parent Trap. And then OP posted an update. The Thursday I posted this, I went to the cops, and they said there was nothing they could do because a crime hadn't been committed. In my state, orders of protection can be either criminal or family, so I was able to get one against Joe. On Friday I did get a lawyer, and they let me know in my state there was nothing I could do as far as custody before the babies are born. So I'll be leaving my state soon to ensure this isn't my baby's home state and I can't be charged with anything. However, someone sent this post to Kim and she came to my job, damaged my car, and broke a bunch of office windows. I work with kids, so she was arrested for not just the criminal damage and trespassing, but also child endangerment, so hopefully that works in my favor. Kim was screaming at me about how I stole her life and everything I had was supposed to be hers. Alright, OP, so clearly Kim is nutso and she gets 4 out of 5 buttholes. That being said, just because Kim is a butthole here doesn't mean that you are not the butthole. Let's be clear about this. Joe has just as much of a right to see those babies as you do. Like, yeah, of course, cut Kim out of the equation. You should get a restraining order against Kim. But the way you're handling this, OP, is that you're moving out of state and you're fighting Joe in court to make sure he doesn't get custody? That's completely unfair to Joe because you're not even giving him a chance to choose the babies over his girlfriend. Lots of guys would happily make that choice, right? I mean, Joe has a right to decide whether or not he wants to be involved in these kids' lives. Obviously, he'd have to break up with Kim first, but still, OP, he has a right to make that choice. Based on this story, it's not clear if you ever even had a conversation with Joe where you're like, "Hey, Joe, so your girlfriend is acting really crazy and she's making me uncomfortable. I do not want this woman around her kid. So you have to choose. It's either her or me and the kids." Instead of having that normal conversation with him, you're going to move out of state and take him to court? Come on, OP, that's just not fair. If I were in Joe's shoes, I would happily choose my own flesh and blood kids over some girl who I've been dating for less than 9 months. OP, this is going to sound harsh, but Joe has rights too. If you continue down this path and completely cut Joe out of the equation, then I'm also giving you 4 out of 5 buttholes. But if you take a step back and at least give Joe the opportunity to break up with his girlfriend, then I'll give you 0 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for choosing my dog over my mom and her fiancé? My dad died in a work accident when I was 15 and I'm now 17. Last year, my mom started going out with this guy, Anthony, and they just got engaged. Anthony wanted to move in, but the problem is he's severely allergic to dogs. My mom told me we had to get rid of Dax, my dog. Like, it's not even a question. She just straight up said that that's what we're gonna do. I fought with my mom over this because Dax is my family and he helped me get through losing my dad. Dax was my dad's dog that he rescued from a shelter when he was still a puppy, and we had him since I was 11. So he means a lot to me. But my mom was like, nope, he has to go. We fought about it so much that I actually cried. Nobody wanted to adopt Dax, and I had to beg my grandpa from my dad's side to take him. Otherwise, my mom was going to take him to a shelter. The problem is, my grandpa lives an hour away and he can't do much physical stuff like take him out for walks, feed him, take him to the vet, etc. And there's no one else around me that can help take care of a dog. My grandpa suggested that I could move here with him since all my classes are on Zoom and I'm graduating in June anyways. I told my mom I was going to move in with grandpa so I could be with Dax. She got really mad about that, and she said that she and Anthony are my family and that I need to be with them. But I told her, 1, Anthony is not my family. I've got problems with him because he kept talking about being my new dad, and I don't like that stuff. And he doesn't listen when I tell him to stop saying that he's my new dad because he's not. And 2, Dax is my family, and my mom wanted me to get rid of him just like that. Besides, my grandpa's my family too. Last week I got my stuff, and my uncle helped me move to my grandpa's house. My mom is still mad. She's not going to force me to come back, but she's saying that I'm a really terrible son because I'm choosing to be with my dog instead of with them. But the idea of being without my dog just hurt too much. I had taken him to my grandpa's a week before I left, and that whole time I was crying missing him. And I know that he missed me too because he completely flipped out when I got there. My mom keeps telling me to come back and stop being cruel with her, but I'm happy that I'm here with my dog. I get that she's got someone new to be happy with, and that's cool, it's her life. But why can't me and my dog be happy too? Am I a butthole for basically choosing my dog over my own mom? OP, what on earth is your mom going on about? You're graduating high school in like 2 months, and presumably you're going to be going to college a few months after that, right? So, what's the big deal? You basically moved out, let's say, like 5 or 6 months early? So what? I think it's completely unreasonable for your mom to expect for you to choose Anthony over a dog that you've had since you were 11. And on top of all this, what's the big deal? It's not like you're living out on the streets, you're living with your grandpa. Also, OP, I kind of agree with you about Anthony being too pushy. I mean, sure, it's sweet that he's at least trying to be your new dad. But come on, you're 17 years old. If you don't want to see this guy as your new father figure, then you have every right to make that choice. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Anthony gets 0 out of 5 buttholes, and your mom gets 1.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for no longer making my husband sandwiches to take to work after discovering that he was selling them? I'm a 33-year-old woman, and my 37-year-old husband works at an advertising company. We're struggling a bit financially because we're saving up to purchase a new apartment. My husband is used to eating fast food, and that was getting costly. He had no problem spending money on daily fast food, and after doing the math, he spends like $300 a month on just fast food. That's $20 daily. We live in a really expensive area. I talked to him about it. He agreed that I could make sandwiches for him to take with him to work. That way, my husband eats healthy and we spare money for rent. Everything was going well. I noticed that he wouldn't respond when I asked him whether or not he liked the sandwiches I made. But he kept asking me to make more than 2 since he was hungry. Yesterday, my husband came home with a friend who's a coworker. We sat at the dinner table, and his friend brought up the sandwiches I make for my husband and how delicious they are. I thanked him, and then he said the price was a bit much. I was confused and I asked him to explain, and he said that my husband sells the sandwiches that I make to his coworkers and then goes to buy his own lunch from a restaurant. I was stunned, and my husband denied it. I told him I will no longer be making him sandwiches if he was just selling them to buy fast food. He defended himself, calling this an overreaction since he's not spending money on fast food, and he said that I was being unfair to start an argument over this. I just walked into the bedroom and stayed there. Then he said that I owe him an apology for God knows what, and he didn't think that it was acceptable of me to lash out and say that I won't make him sandwiches anymore. You know, I'm going to be honest with you, OP. I actually don't see a problem with your husband selling sandwiches. That's a great way to make some extra money. However, the problem with this story is that you deserve a cut of the profits too. Your husband can't just expect you to work for free and then he gets to enjoy all the profits. That's completely unfair. The fact that he was hiding it from you and gaslighting you shows that he knows that he was in the wrong here. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Your husband gets 2 out of 5 buttholes. I hope you two can work it out because it sounds like you two have found an amazing side hustle. That was rSlash AmITheButthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.